Like I had money, but had no confidence. And the only way that I would buy my confidence, I would go every weekend with my friends to the club. We'll get bottle service, ceremonies with my name on it to raise my wealth. And that's the only way I knew how to get like people's respect. I came to a point in my life where I'm like, okay, I need to do something different in my life.
Most people are lazy. It's never been easier to learn, but people are lazier than ever.
I want to be in a position where my inputs and my performance directly affects the commissions, the growth, and the income that I earn.
This is the opportunity where we have to grow and we have to level with fuck ups. This is when everyone else isn't. And then when shit does start, going back the other way, then like it's just gonna be game over. Guys, welcome to Charge It to the Game. I'm here with my brothers, Amaan, Rome, my business partners. My name is Misha. We're coming to you hot. What are we talking about today, guys? We're talking about sales, mindset. Let's jump straight in.
Yeah, we got a special one for you guys today. We're talking about how we even came up with Charge It to the Game. I believe you guys had like a quick chat about that, had some inspiration. Where did that even come from?
Yeah, like last week, me and Rome were on a call. We were like, yo, we're going to start a podcast soon. Like, we're going to film our first one in like 2 days. We need to come up with a name. We're on like a 10-minute call. And then what was the first idea that you had? You had a good one. I forget what it was.
What was it? All in or something?
Forgot what it was, but then I saw in his screenshot because he was looking at. We were both talking to ChatGPT. And I seen the screenshot. Charge it to the game. He's like, "Well, what do you think of Charge It to the Game?" I fucking like it, bro. It's because every time some shit happens, bro, some bullshit happens, whether it's sales or whatever it is that we're doing, whatever project, Misha just looks at me. Well, charge it to the game.
Charge it to the game. Missed your flight? Charge it to the game.
To the fucking game.
Girl cheated on you?
Charge it to the game.
No, but it's a good one for real because it's like at the end of the day, like we play this game called life and sales and like everything that we're doing every single day. Like guys, like our past 5 years of our lives, every single dollar that we have earned, the way that we paid our bills and got shit done, every single dollar that has come in is in direct proportion to revenue that we brought in. It's all performance based. And like we're playing a game, we're playing a full contact sport. And it's like there's highs and there's lows, and like we've seen the people who don't last, like the people who, start, they do okay, but they just can't last with the times and they can't do it long term. It's because they don't have the ability to go through a low and bounce back from it. Right. So I think like Charge It to the Game, it's a good one because it's a good mindset that, when you are in a low, when you are in a slump, it's part of the game. Right. It's part of the game, and it's part of the vision. It's part of what, we're all working towards, in sales, right?
Yeah. It's like a quick reminder, bro. Like, by the way, this is part of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. You're right. There's a lot of people just like forget about that and then see so many failures and then the self-doubt kicks in and then there's nobody there to tell them, bro, this is part of the game. You're supposed to fail.
Mm-hmm.
And make sure you fail a lot and make sure you fail fast if you want to get to where you want to go quicker.
No, I like how you're putting that because it is a game. And like so many people take sales like so personally, like, oh, you had a bad sales day. Oh, I feel like shit. Oh, blah, blah, blah. And like, I'm sure we all went through that where we used to take what happened in our sales day so personally. But once you adopt that, like you mentioned, Misha, that charge it to the game mentality, because it is a mindset more than anything. You realize, hey, highs and lows are part of this.
Mm-hmm. And by the way, even the highs too, right? Like like the lows for sure, you got to go through. But I think being able to manage the highs, I think especially over the last like year or two, like that's been something that like I've been thinking about, and like I'm watching my mindset on is when you have a month when you have a month where you make the most money you've ever made before, and you're growing and you're hustling, it's like there's always a side of you that gets a little bit complacent, right? And like you got to be able to catch that and not let that stop you.
Ooh,
right?
I want to talk about that, bro. I call it the new contract complacency syndrome, bro.
Can you say that one more time?
The new contract complacency syndrome.
Okay.
We'll get into it later, but it's just where I see like a lot of people have high energy and high enthusiasm, optimism in the beginning of their first contract or their first like offer. And they bring that energy, they bring that positivity on the calls, and that's why they do so well.
Mm-hmm.
Just give them 4 weeks. Usually most people will start because they get complacent. They don't think they have to prove it to anybody anymore. The energy goes away. The motivation is less. But we can touch on that maybe later down.
No, let's touch on it right now. I think that's a good, because for anybody watching, this is your first time running into us. We run a sales agency. We're some of the best high ticket closers in the world, and if anybody wants to challenge us to a close off, this is your official challenge. We'll do it live on this podcast set right now. Okay, we are the best in the world, and what we've been doing for the past 5 years is building high performance sales teams for online offers and mainly info products, but other kinds of businesses as well. So, we function as an agency, right? And all of us started as sales closers, right? Just on the phone, solo, bringing in commissions. But we all took on a leadership role where we manage different contracts and we manage teams as well. And so it's like we see salespeople coming and going all the time, right? We're moving pieces around, and that's interesting because you see that a lot where like you have a sales team, right? And then maybe like guys are kind of slowing down a little bit. And then you see a lot of the times the new guy who gets on the offer with less experience than everybody else will start out closing everyone. Yeah. And then all of a sudden it puts the entire team on notice because it's like, holy shit, this guy just started and he's out closing me.
Exactly.
And that's happened to us a couple times where we're like, yo, who is this guy? It happened when we were selling on Thai. I don't know. I was always like at the top. All three of us were at the top of the board
it was always,
on time. No one could ever touch us. But like when Dimitri and Ramsey started closing, bro, they were pushing good numbers. You know,
wasn't bad.
And when it's like when it's a week into the month, and then the new guy is like within a few $1,000s of sales as you're like, yo, what the fuck is going on? You feel that? Yeah, you're like, no, like we need to open up this gap a little bit. Yeah. That's interesting.
Why do you think that drop off happens? Like when they start an offer, they're coming in hot. They got the optimism, they got the positive attitude, they got the right mindset, the work ethic. They're ready to just go ham.
Yeah, I think
what causes that drop off?
I think many reasons. One is, again, that motivation isn't there anymore because they felt like they've already proved it to themselves and they proved it to people like I'm good, and they forget that they have to prove to themselves every fucking day, every month. They have to keep on proving it to themselves. And then they get cocky and then they feel like, well, I don't need to go and go back to the basics. Well, I'm good at this, So they forget to go back to the basics. I think those are like the two main reasons, really.
What was the first reason?
They don't need to prove it to anybody anymore, prove it to themselves. Or they forget that they need to be proving it every single day. They need to show up every single day. You're only as good as your yesterday's closes. That's it.
It's so funny how you say that. Because it's like sales is one of those industries, it's one of those roles where like you need to prove it every single day. You need to show up and show out every fucking day. Like if you want to be a top producer, and like when people have that mindset, it's like, I get it, but at the same time, it just doesn't logically make sense. How can you be in sales and get complacent? Yeah. You're not going to make any fucking money in that case.
Yeah, but because it's like it doesn't matter. Like you could be the best closer in the world. You can be the best closer on your team. The moment the calendar changes and it's the next month, you're back at zero. Everybody's at the exact same place, and you got to do it again. You got to do it again. I think Lil Baby once said he was like he had a bar about it where it was like, you do it once, okay, but you got to do it twice to really show them what's up, and then twice, 3 times, you got to do it forever, right?
Exactly.
I think to that point, something else that's really important. It's also like whenever, like me, just in general, when I go back and like I analyze the months and the periods where I was on fire and I was putting up the biggest numbers, it's always like just like my energy and everything that's happening in my life is usually like everything is dialed in, right? Where it's like, for example, like when we had a little last year and we did Portugal, Miami, we went to Boston, and then I went to Philly to go hang out with family and run a freaking 15K through the mountains, right? Like just through that whole period, right? We're in Miami, we do the mastermind. We're in Portugal, we're with Antonio. We're going to other masterminds where we're, rubbing shoulders with 8 and 9 figure entrepreneurs. During that period, like I was closing like crazy. And I think the reason why was because like just the energy and the vibes were right, and just like my state was right. And I think when someone starts out on a new offer, like their state is where they want it to be. They're like, yes, this is my moment. This is my opportunity. Their mindset is right. They're excited about it. But then with time that fades, and all of a sudden that excitement goes away. And then the next day happens and they're at zero.
Yeah.
And then they have to do it all again. And like the thing with sales is like, that's why the mindset is everything, right? Like the sales training aside, if you don't have the mindset down, you're just not going to last because it's such a repetitive thing. You have the exact same conversation over and over and over and over again.
Yeah.
right? And like if you can't find ways to get clear on your vision and where you're trying to go, and if you're not getting excited and challenging yourself every single day, then it's like you fall off.
Yeah.
Right.
The thing is with that too, it's like, I feel like for all of us, I'll speak for myself, like the evolution of sales training, it started out as like sales, the basics, the fundamentals, buyer psychology, objection handling. But I feel like that next level to sales mastery, it comes down to that self transformation. Like everything you just mentioned, the state.
Yep.
Well, how do you put yourself in peak optimal state
Yep.
for high performance? Well, it's the routine, it's the habits, it's the thoughts,
Yep.
it's the behaviors. And so many people only focus on sales training. And don't get me wrong, like a lot of people need to spend a lot more time developing their sales skills and that foundation. But that next level all comes down to what's going on in here.
100%. And another thing is, yeah, if you want to be great, if you want to go reach your goals, then you have to show up every single day, not just for your first month. And then like most people just fucking fall off and choose another route. But also I think, and I think even 50%, maybe even more, is due to the leader that you have or the coach that you have. Right? Because I feel like for me as a leader, it's my responsibility to meet up with my guys, also remind them of the vision, right? And check them whenever they start being complacent. You know what I mean? See, have a real conversation. Hey, is this something you really want to do, or you just want to be a one-shot wonder? Just holding them accountable. I think that's very important as a leader, so we can avoid that. So
Right.
Holding them accountable, and what you just said, reminding them of the vision too.
Yeah.
That's so true.
100%.
How do you go about doing that? Because like I feel like leadership, it starts with like inspiring them, planting that seed. So like, with the offers you're managing, how do you plant that seed, water it, and help them grow to their fullest potential?
First thing, I lead by example all the time. Of course, I lead by example. Just because I'm a sales leader doesn't mean I don't take sales calls. I still take sales calls to show them that I have all these responsibilities, but I still make time and I can still close. And so, but nobody can ever blame the leads. And then inspires them. But more importantly is that I meet up with my guys. Like I know all of my guys, I know their goals. I know what their goals are. I know how much money they want to make. I know why they want to make this money. Like I know this. And I meet up with them every week. We know we're working on stuff every single week, depending on who it is that I'm talking to. But that's important. Weekly meetings. I have my daily meetings with my team.
Nice. Something that what you just shared reminded me of. I think I was watching this documentary on wolves, and a wolf leader, like the alpha of a pack, he doesn't lead the pack from the front. He leads the pack from the back. Everybody else walks the path and he stays back to protect, keeps the distance just to make sure, nobody's fucking up to no shenanigans.
Right.
And it's like when you just said, hey, I lead by example, it's like, well, how can you look up to somebody? How can you actually take somebody's feedback if they're not actually in the game that you're playing? Like, how can a sales rep, how can a closer listen to a manager if that manager isn't leading by example? And, what you just shared reminded me of, hey, you're a wolf leading the pack from the back, allowing them to walk ahead and, showing them what they actually got to do.
Of course. And I found that out the hard fucking way, man. I found that out like maybe 2 years into management, when we were like losing money, we're not making any money. I'm like, and I'm just blaming the guys, the sales guys. I'm like, wow, they're not motivated, coaching them. But I wasn't really coaching them. I wasn't really leading by example. I wasn't really meeting up with them every day. I didn't know what their goals are. I don't know why is it so important for them. I didn't know that. Once I knew that, I started showing up. I knew it was all on me. See, I think it's really important as a leader to really know like your guys, their goals. Why is it so important for them? And keep them accountable. And then and if you feel like, and then we can talk about hiring and firing if you want, but if they continue on falling off and not taking your advice and not getting better, then at this point I'm just wasting my time. Fire. That's so important.
And I think
Charge it to the game.
And charge.
Straight up, charge it to the game. I think too, like even for anyone who's like trying to get into sales right now, or like you're trying to build a career in sales, like a lot of people are looking for like they think that they need to look for the money to begin with.
Yeah.
They think they need to look for like, hey, like where can I make the most amount of money in the shortest amount of time? But I mean, I think the thing that we all did was we found a leader that we believed in, which was just Dylan. Shout out to Dylan. right? And it's like that's what allowed us to, get through a lot of the lows that we were talking about, right? When things aren't going right, it's like, hey, like we have our leader, we know where we're going, we understand what the vision is, and we believe in the vision, And I think that's so important. I don't know if we'd be where we're at right now if we didn't have the leader that we had. So like if anyone's starting out, it's like yeah, like find someone who you resonate with. Find someone who genuinely challenges you as well, right? Who pushes you to become better. Someone who isn't easy on you, right? Someone who pisses you off sometimes, right? Because that's the kind of person that gets the most out of you, right?
Exactly. And if you think about the Bulls for a second, like that crazy team, it's like a lot of people think Jordan was the leader, but like in the documentary, I don't know what it was called, but like what was the Last Dance, right? What was the coach's name called?
Phil Jackson.
Phil Jackson. Like he led that team to dominate, right? He assembled like a core group of guys, and especially with what Dylan's done, like you and I were connected. We were always friends, but for example, how the hell would we have come across Rome? How the hell would we have come across Antonio? How would we have actually built out the team that we actually have today without that leader? And it's like you got to have someone who's playing chess while everybody else in the game is playing checkers.
Agreed, bro. Agreed. Now this game called sales, it's a crazy game, man. Can't be playing checkers forever either. Yeah, I guess even like you saying that, like I guess you think of like checkers as like a simple game that like, you want to be playing chess, right? Because chess is what the OGs are playing, but like no, you gotta work your way up, You got to start with the checkers. You got to start with doing your dials, closing as many deals as possible, doing the same fucking thing over and over and over again, going through the big months, the slow months, getting better, because that's where you earn your stripes, right? And then that's where you come up with the experience. Like it's crazy how like even for us, right? Like something that Daniel G says, he says, and I like how he says it. It's like all the work that we did, all the grinding behind the scenes when COVID and the whole world was shut down, and me and you were in the office, and you were at the Mississauga office putting in crazy hours on the phone. It's like all of that work that we were putting in, it all comes up to this moment where it's like in the last year, okay, like we developed, real expertise when it comes to sales. We built a real sales company. We built real skills over 5 years, where it's like now we can hop on YouTube and start making valuable content easily because we have the skill of sales, right? Where we can create a personal brand because we understand the skill of sales, right? Where now we can train other people on sales because we all had the skill of sales, right? And it's so crazy how like even when we were selling on Tide, like that was such a crazy experience for me personally, because it's like we were doing millions of dollars in sales. We're talking to crazy ass entrepreneurs doing all kinds of businesses, talking about big numbers and everything that's going on. And it's like, we're getting paid a lot of fucking money to be on the inside of a business like that and learn how every single element of it operates. Right. Where it's like, now it's like, we understand. And it's like, now we can have more of that abundance mindset where it's like, we were on the inside of it. We saw the numbers that were going up every single month, where it's like, now we can just go and replicate it. Right. So it's like, it's cool how like in the last year, we're kind of moving into a little bit of chess now,
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think you and I were talking about this the other day. It's like, first you get paid for what you do, then you can level up and get paid for what you know. And then eventually, the next level, I don't know what's past chess. You get paid for who you are.
So you guys have conversations without me now?
Baby.
I was talking with Amaan. Amaan's like, yo, Rome is on highway 403.
Like, yo, have you ever been on highway 403? Like, bro, let that.
I'm like, bro, I'm not surprised. Rome's always fucking somewhere, man.
What have you been up to? How the fuck do you know? Okay, as a screenshot, I said,
bro, you got my location.
Rome's been like coast to coast through Canada, traveling through every single city in the past 2 weeks. He's been
traveling the Underground Railroad.
Yeah, he's been on a nationwide tour, huh?
And I'm still doing what I need to do. That's the beauty about this. In the car, we can still do coaching. We can still do sales calls. That's the beauty about this, man. I don't have to ever be anywhere. Yeah. It's one of the things I'm very, very, very grateful for. Like I was with my family last week at the park, and a lot of my family members weren't there because they had businesses, and like we can't leave. We had to go and take care of this, and that. I'm like, at a moment of gratitude.
Yeah, and I feel like you never even look at life that way until you're exposed to it. Because, like,
Yeah.
I don't know if you had those thoughts back when you were in IBM. Like, I always had those thoughts lingering in the back of my mind, but I didn't know it was actually possible. Because, like, nobody around me was living that life. But, once you take that step and you actually push yourself, it's like, oh shit, I can get paid and make a lot of money off my phone working from anywhere. And like, it goes back to what you were saying like a couple minutes ago about the whole state, right? Like last year, traveling, Portugal, I went to Morocco, we went to Miami, all these different places. Like, shit.
Yeah, and it's important too. Like all of those trips that we take, like I don't see it as like, oh, like we're taking a vacation, like not at all.
Never.
Like, not even close to that. It's like we're literally just switching up the environment, going to a cool ass spot.
That's it.
With beautiful trees and weather's nice, and I get to wear shorts in the winter.
And it feels like a vacation.
Yeah.
It's a change in environment, but it really feels like a vacation all the time.
Yeah. And then like every single time we do some kind of a trip, it's always like an instant perspective shift because it's you can look back on your day-to-day routine and what you're doing every day and what's going on. And like I always just get the craziest realizations and the craziest epiphanies from taking trips and just going to a different location for a little bit,
Yeah. I know you took a trip recently. You went to LA not too long ago. What type of epiphanies did you have there?
To start this podcast. That was one of them.
Let's go.
No, but like for real, that was a mastermind. Randomly, like I'm just on an Instagram. I'm coming back from the Audi dealership to drop off my car for service, and I'm on an Instagram live, just like in the Uber, like on the way back from the office. And I was actually like just pulling into the office. And then I'm on someone's live who I just followed like a week or two ago, who was like pretty well connected in the space. Then he's like, oh, like mastermind, it's 5K. And then like I asked a question in the live because the live was dead. Like I knew this guy like knew his stuff. So I asked the question in the live. He starts pitching me his mastermind, basically. He like gives me an answer and he's like, bro, you should come out to this mastermind, you should blah, blah, blah. And then I was like, yo, like, fuck it. Like, whatever. Like, it was,
charge it to the game.
Yeah, it came out to charge it to the fucking game, man. It came out to $8,000 for the full trip. I went out for like literally 2 days, to LA. I was in his office for the full day. And like, one of the things he said, he was like, hey, the most successful people on the internet, they have podcasts, period. Like, if you're online, if you're using content, like, why do you not have a podcast? I was like, shit, like that's some pretty rock solid logic. Like, could he have just, like, could I have just read that somewhere and just be like, oh yeah, that's true. Like, probably. But I think just, that whole flying coast to coast, going over there, spending the morning driving around in the Beverly Hills, looking at freaking stupid ass mansions.
It's different, bro.
You
can't make babies over Zoom.
Definitely not.
You can't make babies over Zoom. It's one thing to hear it over Zoom and talk to somebody online, but going there, bro, that's how we learn, like through osmosis. That's how we learn.
For sure.
And I gotta say, bro, like you were like a big inspiration to me to start investing into myself. Before I was like, nah, I'm not gonna spend 5-10 grand. But like we need to practice what we preach, right? We were on phones all day for the past 5 years, convincing people to invest into themselves. Why don't we do the same thing?
Well, like the thing is, I think like even in the back of my mind, right? It's like, oh yeah, like, okay, like you could spend a bunch of money on something, but like you always think like, oh, could I learn that same thing without spending the money? And it's like, yes, you could, it's possible, but it's the act of putting yourself in the room. It's the act of, spending the money, creating a new identity for yourself. It's like, hey, I am someone who takes risks, move forward, makes big moves, gets in the room.
Exactly.
Right. And then when that identity shift happens, then you get the information. Something, but it's like something Ty Lopez was talking about is that, but it's something along the lines of like, when you're ready for it, you'll learn the lesson, like you could get the same information and the same line over and over and over and over again. And like you hear it, but you don't do anything on it. But then when you're actually ready for it and you hear it, that's when you actually learn the lesson, right? So a lot of it is about timing as well.
And from who? Like, who gives you that line? Who gives you that feedback? It's like, if some Joe Schmo gives you that line of, hey, all the successful people on the internet have a podcast, you're going to be like, all right, bro, fuck off.
Yeah.
But if someone who's in a position of success that you would like to replicate is in and says that line, it's like, I should shut up and listen.
And because you paid AGs.
Yeah,
When you pay attention.
exactly.
You
So
pay attention.
so from that quick 2-day trip, podcast we're starting. This was like last month, 2 months ago. Podcast was started, and then we're also doing the mastermind at the end of the month, coming up in 2-3 weeks.
Right around the
We're
corner.
having everyone fly out to our office for the weekend, and it was also kind of inspiring to put on like a private, more intimate event the next day. Right, that's paid. It's not cheap. But for those who are serious and want to take it to the next level, we're going to spend an extra day with them, pouring into them, giving them everything that we got. And I think that's something that we need to do a lot more of. Like, I'm excited to put that on more and more.
Let's talk about that, bro. The reason why that 8Gs made us,
Let's not drop any numbers, but
good money, bro. Because we got the idea of hosting our own mastermind. Because how many people paid him 5Gs or 8Gs? 10 people, right? Yeah, 10 people. 80 grand.
Something like that. Yeah.
And we were like, well, why
10 people in a
do the
room.
same thing?
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, we can do the exact same thing, right?
We did it.
And also part of it too is like calling our shot, like you got to be ready to step into the person that you need to be, right? And we've had to make that level up over and over and over again. But sometimes stepping up to a different level, making a bigger ask. Sometimes it's a little bit scary, but you have to do that to get to the next level, right? And I think just like with what we're doing in general, and like the kind of impact that we're already making is insane, and we see it every single day. It just puts so much more responsibility on our shoulders to take things up to another level, and to expand that impact way more.
you can't pour into people with an empty bucket, and you got to continuously grow into a bigger bucket, right? It's just like, I think crabs or lobsters, when they grow in size, they leave their shell and they go find a bigger shell,
right,
to fit what they've actually grown into.
Interesting. I didn't know that. For real?
Well, you think the shell grows with the crab?
I have no idea. I didn't think about it.
Bro, I watch a lot of these documentaries, man.
So
Like,
where
I
did they get
can't
the
watch.
other shell from? Other bigger crabs?
Like no, actually, yes, crabs do fight for the shells because it's essentially their home. But bro, on like the beach, on like the floor of the ocean, and like what you just said is exactly that. And it's crazy how those rules and laws are parallel. Like Mother Nature, like, hey, when you grow into a better, bigger, stronger version of yourself, well, hey, you gotta put yourself into a bigger shell. What you just mentioned, hey, when you are leading a team, when you're growing at a massive rate, when you're stepping into a better version of yourself, a better identity, you gotta get a bigger bucket.
Gotta expand.
That reminds me of a quote I think Jim Rohn said.
Risky.
So risky.
That shit is so creepy. By the way,
what's the quote? The Jim Rohn quote?
Become a millionaire not for the money, but the man that you have to be to become a millionaire.
Yeah, that's a good one. I mean, bro, that's so true. And even we've seen people run up a quick bag with some freaking crypto nonsense, some NFTs, whatever, and it's like okay, nice. But I don't envy those people, even if they got more money in the bank, they're more net worth or whatever you want to call it. I don't envy those people because it's like at the end of the day, the slow growth, and like that constant day-to-day grind, and the delayed gratification, all the character traits that we develop as we're on that journey, like so fucking valuable.
Nobody can take it. Nobody can take that away from us.
and that's why that quote is so good, because it's like you can take the money away from the person, but you can't take the character traits that make that person that person. It's like even if you lost it all tomorrow, whatever you have, it's like you'll be able to go and do it all over again because you have the knowledge, you have the skills, you have the mindset, you have the character traits.
Yeah. Your crypto goes to zero, you're fucked. Or Binance or whatever company declares bankruptcy, you're fucked. And then
I think also like on another note too, right? Like the real winners are going to win regardless of circumstance, right? Regardless of anything else that's happening, like when we started sales, we started when the money printers were on full blow, where all of our prospects were getting a check in the mail for an extra $2,000 every single month, ready to spend on something, And it's like, okay, cool. Yeah, we saw a lot of people crushing it. We were crushing it. Everyone was crushing it, right? Lots of people were doing very well, right? But then when things slow down, right, all of a sudden that stops, right? For most people, and I think especially like in the years to come, like, where there's so much information out there, there's so much shit that you could be doing. Like, it's so easy to self-improve now.
Mhm.
You got Spotify running every single book that you could ever basically want to read for free on audiobook, and you could just listen to some of the smartest people in the world telling you all of their life secrets. It's like when there's so much information available, I think most people are lazy. It's never been easier to learn, but people are lazier than ever, right? And like that right there is the opportunity, So like even with the way the world is going and everything being fucking printed and the cost of living going sky high, and pressure is on people. It's like this is the opportunity where we have to grow and we have to level the fuck up. This is when everyone else isn't. and then when shit does start, going back the other way, then like it's just going to be game over.
Yeah.
Right. But like this is where we build.
100%, bro. It's crazy. Like we have all the most smartest people, most successful people right here on Instagram, bro. You can contact them. You can buy the courses. You can pay for mentorship. Did you guys see Ty Lopez had like a 15-minute talk for like $500?
Yeah.
The one-on-one calls?
The one-on-one calls?
Yeah, I seen
I
that.
thought that was fucking amazing, bro. You guys saw that, right?
Yeah, I did. I actually saw it randomly. I was talking about Ty. I was on YouTube and I saw a TED talk from him 9 years ago.
A TED Talk?
He did a TED talk 9 years ago.
On what?
Well, listen, Ty, honestly, let me say this. Ty gets I see people hating on him, but Ty's a G, man. Like Ty's a real one, like that guy's fucking smart.
OG.
He was doing a TED talk 9 years ago, and he was talking about that exactly. He starts up the TED talk. He's like, hey, like, let me ask you, like what would you do? How rich do you think you would be if Bill Gates was your partner? He was like, how happy do you think you would be if you had the Buddha by your side every single day? How healthy do you think you would be if you had Arnold Schwarzenegger, going with you to the gym every single day? And then he was talking about, he was like, yo, the thing is all of these guys, like, they're in my house right now, in my library. He was like, if I told you this guy, that guy, they're all in my house and they were doing a meetup, everyone would show up. Right. But the moment it comes down to books and reading, actually putting in a little bit of effort to learn from these people, it's like, you don't do it. And like that kind of puts me on notice too, where it's like all the information is out there, and like that's why you see people getting more and more successful in shorter amounts of times and at younger ages, is because there's never been more resources and information out there. It's never been more easy to access. But
what's so cool about that is like Ty Lopez being at the level of success he is and still reading those books, still accumulating that knowledge. And it's like when you compare him to, any average person, it's like, well, you don't have that type of lifestyle and you're still not reading. Yeah. So are you okay with the lifestyle, or are you just lazy and, people aren't ready to have that conversation with themselves?
Yeah, I saw something. People, what happens is when people like get really emotional, when people like hate something and dislike something, like when you see like there was that hater comment that you showed me before this podcast, right? Of that hater talking about some bullshit. But it's like just hate in general. And when you see all like the political division in the world and all of that, where that comes from is because when you hate something, it's technically a part of yourself that you hate and that you don't want to come off, right? So there's a part of yourself that like you repress, that you dislike, and that you hide, but then outwardly you hate it, right? And it's like, where a lot of the hate comes from is when people that like look at you, someone who's young, someone who's making really good money, and they're like that's a reflection of themselves, right? Because they might be your age, they might come from the same background as you, except you've done something that they haven't done. And like that thought makes them dislike you, right? So rather than take accountability and be like, fuck, here's this guy winning, like let me just fucking go do something about it, right? Rather than saying that, because that's hard to do, right? It's a lot easier just to say, oh, that's some bullshit, come up with some nonsense, right?
They don't have the charge it to the game mentality. They got the blame the game mentality. Keep blaming the game, bro.
That reminds me of Daniel G. You guys know Daniel G, obviously. We just mentioned him. For those of you who don't know Daniel G, he's a badass sales trainer. He's well known here in Toronto.
Bro, he's well known everywhere. He's freaking
Yeah, he's
huge
massive.
now.
That's where he started, Toronto, right?
Right. Yeah.
And then right now I think he grew his account from 1 million to 3 million followers in like under a year or something.
Yeah.
It was wild. But at a point in my life where I quit my job, my engineering job at IBM, because I started making like 30 grand a month from Airbnb, like at 23 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a lot of fucking money 9 years ago. 23 years old, 30K a month. And at that point in my life, like you guys already know, but I grew up, socially awkward, insecure kid, can't have conversations with people. At that point in my life, like the only way I would be able to, like I had money, but had no confidence, right? No, I had money, had no confidence. And the only way that I would buy my confidence is that I would, because I made a lot of fucking money, I would go every weekend with my friends to the club. We'll get bottle service. We'll get whatever. We'll do all these fucking ceremonies with my name on it to raise my wealth. All this bullshit, bro. And that's the only way I knew how to get like people's respect and how to get women. I knew nothing else, bro. It came to a point in my life where I'm like, okay, well, Airbnb rules started getting like really, really tough and in Ontario. So I started getting kicked out from these Airbnbs, and landlords were like, fuck, he's making 4 grand a month from my apartment. I could do the same thing. So I was getting kicked out. So I was at a point where I'm like, fuck, I need to do something different in my life. And at that point, like I've never put 100% in anything in my life. And my mom was like telling me, go back to IBM. What are you doing with your life? I'm not going to go too in detail to that, but that's when I found Daniel G. I saw Daniel G. I'm like, okay, I need a mentor if I want to get out of work where I am right now. And I don't want to go back to fucking IBM, back to my manager, listening to her complain about replacing her $3,000 door for a fucking year.
Right.
So I looked at Daniel G, bro. But part of me, I was like, looking at this guy, I'm like, I don't like this guy too much. I'm like, he's too confident. I don't like this guy. And then my friend was next to me, like, bro, he has exactly what you fucking want. He has money and he's good at sales. And I'm like, you're right. I wanted to get into sales because I'm like, it's the highest paid profession in the world. And if I can learn these skills, I'll finally be able to start talking to people. You know what I mean? And not trip balls and sweat when I'm in a fucking elevator with a random person, Right. And so I part of me didn't like this guy because he had exactly what I wanted. But then when my boy was like, bro, like, he's winning. Like, you should probably like get him as a coach. I'm like, you're right. Next day I paid him. I paid Daniel G to coach me. And that's when everything fucking changed for me.
That guy's a good friend. Whoever that was.
Yeah.
Shout
Sammy.
out to that guy. Oh,
yeah. So you guys know Sammy.
legend.
Yeah.
Shout out to you, Sam.
Oh, good, bro. Good.
Well, that was actually one of the hardest points in my entire life. After that point, it was 2 months of me learning sales and never learned sales before, but hopping on calls, group calls with Daniel G, learning the framework.
When was this?
2019.
Okay.
Corona time.
Right.
Peak Corona. Just before Corona or yeah, it's a little bit just before. And so I was learning the framework. I was learning buyer psychology, role playing, all that stuff. Fine. A month in, now it's time to get leads. Start cold calling because he didn't have like anything to sell. But what he knew, he was smart. Daniel G was so smart. That's when Corona started happening. Gyms were getting closed and personal trainers were losing their jobs. And so Daniel was like, fucking perfect. I know how to get these guys online. So he gathered us like, guys, call gym owners, call personal trainers. Here's Scope Leads. Scope Leads is a website where you can go just filter by what lead you want. You can pay them. They'll give you leads. Exactly what I did. That was the most terrifying moment of my life, bro. Like, I was already terrified of talking to people. Now I'm calling people who don't know who the fuck I am and convincing them to hop on a call with my mentor, bro. It fucking sucked, bro. For a month I did that. I would wake up every day, shower, wear my robe, and go to my computer. I'm fucking shaking. And I would do that every day for 8 hours. My brother would walk in. He would do this. I remember until this day because I would forget to eat. My brother would walk in. He would do this. He'd bring my food. He would just give it to me. He'd walk out.
Why was he covering his nose?
Because of how shitty that room smelled because of my sweat. Bro. I was drenched in sweat on my robe. It was bad, bro. And every day I was like, this is not for you. What are you doing? Yeah, my mom, what are you doing? Go back to IBM. What are you cold calling? What is this? Mom, I want to be an entrepreneur. So my mom know about being an entrepreneur, bro. Anyways, did it anyway. I'm like, I'm going to do it anyway. I'm not making any money. But I have a lot of savings left. I did it anyway. A month later, Daniel G tells me, bro, my business partner is going to call you. I have an opportunity for you. So I'm like, okay. Like I haven't closed shit at this point. You know what I mean? I haven't closed anything. Dylan gives me a call, his business partner at that time, our mentor right now and business partner. And Dylan was like, listen, I heard you're consistent, you know, you're hopping on calls, things like that. And I need a closer for Ty Lopez. I'm like, Ty Lopez, the knowledge guy, the Lamborghini guy? He's like, yes. And he's like, do you know the 10-step framework? Do you know this, and that? I'm like, yes. Like, starting tomorrow. Well, first day, I call this lead and I close her for $997 in maybe 5 minutes. And the same day, I close another 4 or 5 other $997s. In that month, I made about $4,500. And just because I was selling for a coach that was already well known, I didn't have to do like really much. Second month, I made 16 grand. Third month, $23,000. And then, you know, the rest was history, as they say.
Beautiful. But what I learned from what you just shared is like that month or however long it was of you like training, dialing the scope leads, like you needed to sit in that darkness for you to ever experience any sort of light. And it's like so many people have that mentality where they're not ready to do that. They're not ready to have that 2, 3, 4 week, 1 month, 2 month period where, you know, they're getting no after no after no. They're just beating themselves up. But the fact that you pushed through that bullshit is, in all honesty, like why I believe you got that opportunity.
100%.
And like same thing goes for you and me, and same thing goes for like reps that we've seen, right? You know, where, you know, on the offer you're managing, where they're, you know, going through those dark days and then, you know, they push through and then wow, they have the highest month ever.
No, so something I was telling my guys recently was like, but because that's so true, right? Like if you, I was reading a Brian Tracy book this morning, actually. I read a couple pages to try to get something good in my mind as I'm, you know, eating my freaking hard-boiled eggs, right?
Nice. You guys both like hard-boiled eggs, man.
It's easy, bro. It's just easy, you know? Just cut it out, put some
I like
smoked paprika, some salt.
What you don't want is a delicious breakfast at the start of the day, because then you get fucking lazy. You know, you want dry, nasty fucking eggs. Put some salt on it, some black coffee, and go fucking crush that day. but anyway, so I'm reading this morning, and he was talking about, he was like, hey, like think about your life, like think as if like all of the things that you're going through, you know, think as if it's already written, right? Where it's all a path to get you to the ultimate version of yourself. Right. And when you think of it in that way, you look back at, you know, all the tough things that you've gone through, right? Whether that be freaking calling cold ass leads, whether that be like a bad upbringing or whatever other shit you're going through, you look at those things not as negative things, but as lessons and things that you learn from that ultimately turn you into the version of yourself that will allow you to turn into the version of yourself that you will become. Right. And like even for me, right? Like I got a similar experience where we were crushing it. So for those at home, Rome was selling in the Mississauga office. I was on the other side of Toronto. We were over here in the Vaughan office. So like you were hustling, you were grinding, you were doing your thing. We were hustling on the other side, and we didn't even know who we were. Yeah, we had heard some rumors of you, but you know, just rumors. But anyways, we're on the other side of Toronto. We were selling on a different contract. We were pushing $1 million months very early on to our career, right? Probably 6, 7, 8 months in. With our whole team, right? A big team, but still, $1 million months. We're doing $500,000 to $1 million month every single fucking month. That contract ultimately went south, right? Ultimately it paused. For a little while, there was a point where I was on an offer, and I would get like maybe like 5 leads every day. You know, five people who spent $17 on something. You know, and I remember I think you were doing another offer. You were doing pretty good. A bunch of other people were doing good. I'm getting a couple leads every day, and I'm at like donuts. Like I'm at bagels for, you know, zeros for, you know, basically like a month, 2 months, 3 months, right? Barely closing anything. And, you know, what I did in that time, because, you know, I really believed in this, you know, and I really wanted to go all in because, again, I understood, just like you did, it's the highest value skill set in the world. I'm doing this with my best friends, and I have my leader who I believe in, right? So like, I'm not going to quit. I'm going to figure this out. At the time, like I remember being there where every single day I'm waking up, I have a couple leads, calling them up. I can't close anything. And every single day, zeros, I close a $200 deal. That's some baby sale. And then more zeros, right? And I remember like thinking at that time, I was like, hey, like, I don't know how this is all going to play out. I don't know where I'm going to go, but like, I'm going to keep going, you know? And the mindset that I had was, hey, I'm just going to hop on calls and just try to be of value. I'm just going to try to help people. You know, I'm just going to forget about the fucking sale. I'm going to stop thinking about myself so much. And I'm just going to want to help people and pour into people. What ended up happening was, because of that hard work that I put in, we got a new offer. It was a stock trading program, which I sold throughout that summer, crushed it. That's actually the first time when I actually started managing my own offer, because we brought in 2 reps on that and I was managing them and we were doing pretty good on that. Fast forward a little bit, right? I got this was maybe like a year or 2 after you were selling on Thai, right? This is when he restarted. One random Sunday, Dylan is like, hey, like, yo, tomorrow there's a full day of pack calls. All of these people are applying to this $5,000 mastermind, $5,000, $10,000, $25,000 mastermind. It's like, get ready. I'm like watching like podcasts before. And then the first day on Thai, I closed $10,500 in sales out of all the calls. I was nervous as fuck. The first couple calls did not go good because this is the first time I'm dealing with like, you know, 7-figure business owners and entrepreneurs and serious people, right? Ended up having a pretty decent day. And Thai sent me like $300 in Bitcoin as a bonus.
Remember that.
Nice. You know, but it's like, it's all because like at the start, you know, I stopped thinking about myself. I understood that there was a vision that maybe I couldn't fucking see yet. There was something down the line that was coming for me, as long as I kept going, as long as I kept pushing, right? But it's like a lot of people, it's back to that Brian Tracy thing, right? When shit is going south in your life, when things aren't going the way that you want to go, you think, oh, this is going bad. Let me just go do something else. Rather than thinking, hey, like this is something that I may not understand it right now why it's going bad. But ultimately this is something that's going to make me a better person.
For sure.
You know?
Even if it is a negative experience, like viewing it as a negative doesn't serve you any sort of justice or positive. But, you know, viewing and changing your perspective, like, okay, whatever, I'm in this dark day. But if you look at it from a positive lens, it's like, you know what, this is just going to help me get into that better position, which from what you both shared, it's clear that you both did.
True colors show when things get rough. Right. That's where you can really tell what someone's all about. Right. Is when things get rough, things aren't going as good as they want.
It's honestly, bro, it's also tough for a lot of people who are like married, for example, and they have their wife and their wife is like thinking a certain way. Or they're like unsupported families, bro. Like that keeps people from chasing the fucking dreams, bro. What would you say to these people, bro?
You guys block out the noise, man. Like if you have that mindset, like all of us went through it. Like what you were just sharing, like, you know, you had your mom asking you, like, what are you doing? Why are you trying to become an entrepreneur? Like I had my parents saying, like, why are you doing this whole sales thing? Like keep going down the traditional path with school. I'm sure you probably had something similar. It's like, even though that was there, it's like I had to lock in, like, I'm the author of my life. Like, if I want to read my story on my deathbed and actually smile when I finish that book, like I gotta live without regrets. And in order to do that, I gotta chase what I believe in.
Exactly.
And what I believed in and still believe in is myself. And I'm always going to put myself in that position where it's like, hey, I want to put my money where my mouth is. And I know that's why I'm in sales, where it's like, hey, I want to be in a position where my inputs and my performance directly affects the commissions and the growth and the income that I earn. So what do I tell to that person? Lock in, bro.
I mean, honestly,
cut out the distractions, cut out the noise.
For me, I feel like I was pretty lucky because people around me were always pretty supportive, and it was especially cool because me and you grew up together, right? So like we got into it at the same time, and I think that's really important. Is like when your best friends are on the same grind as you. I mean, man, like I don't know if I can relate to the person whose wife, you know, was saying like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, go get a real job, go make some fucking money. You have kids to feed. We got a mortgage. Like what are you doing chasing the dreams? Like, man, I don't know what I'd say to that person, you know. Like, but for me, like I'm really grateful for the people I had around me. My parents, like they weren't happy if it was you know, their choice. They wouldn't have let me do it. But I think when I first started, and even like friends who I used to have, you know, when I was dropping out and I had to, you know, I committed to a lease in a university town that I backed out of. And like, yeah, like some friends, you know, they didn't take it the right way. But regardless, you know, like I was exactly what you said, you know. I'm on my own path. I think sometimes you have to ignore a lot of people's opinions if they're not in the position that you want to be in.
Yeah, it depends how bad you want to do, you know.
Yep.
Depends on how bad you want it.
If one person's opinion is gonna just make you completely fucking quit, like good luck. Man.
Honestly, Rome, you're the old man here.
What would you say to that
guy
person?
who's married and you know?
I guess it was a little bit different for me because I grew up like, traditional Lebanese household, grew up always knowing that I am going to probably follow the exact same footsteps as my dad, which is become an engineer. And bro, like my whole schooling, I just hated that vision. I was never okay with that vision, but I did it anyway. I graduated from grade 12 in Kuwait, desert country next to Dubai, Saudi Arabia. And then I came to Canada because that's where I was born. And that's where it's cheap to go to school because I was born there. I did my engineering degree. And then I always told my parents
it was cheaper in Canada than Kuwait.
Yeah, because I'm Canadian, bro. Because I'm Canadian, it's cheaper. We paid like $7,000 for 2 semesters, something like that.
Nice.
And it's like 3 times more, 4 times more for like an international student.
Right.
Yeah, so I always tell my parents, like, I want to become an entrepreneur. I want to buy a Lambo. I want to buy you guys a house. So like, okay, like keep dreaming. Go get your job first, your first job, and then do whatever you want. I said, bet. I graduated, bro. I got my job at IBM as an engineer, worked there for a year. I told my parents, I'm quitting right now. And that was tough, bro. That was tough, bro. They made me, I quit anyway, because I was making 30 grand a month from Airbnb. Yeah. So I'm like, I'm not clocking in and out anymore at IBM. I'm done.
Yeah.
But my mom was always like, get a job, like just in case, what if this Airbnb doesn't work, this and that. And I always told my mom, like, even this doesn't work, I'll figure it out. Like, I always thought to myself, honestly, I'm like, God didn't give my parents the vision that he gave me. And I just really like believe that I was made for more.
Right. So is that what you would go to whenever you would get, like doubt or some comments from friends or family?
Yeah, I believe in myself, bro. I believe in myself. I tell myself, like, I know that if I do so much work, if I do everything in my power, like, it's impossible to fail.
That's it. If you don't chase what you believe in, who will? Nobody's going to do the work for you. Nobody's going to read the books. Nobody's going to do the self-improvement. That's some G shit, bro.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, I've always just wanted the unconventional life, bro. Money and respect. That's all I wanted, bro.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like for a long time, it's like, I always knew what I didn't want. Like I always knew it, just like you, like I don't want to follow my parents' footsteps. I don't want to end up at some fucking shit job, 9 to 5, doing the exact same thing every single day. And like, especially too, like, where it's like, no matter what, but because I worked a lot of jobs growing up, man, like I was always working jobs, part-time jobs, whatever. Right. Like as soon as I could, I was in a call center at 15. Making minimum wage, because I just wanted to make some money. And like, I experienced all of that firsthand. I experienced like the bullshit jobs that you fucking hate, where you're staring at the clock, watching every single minute go by, just waiting for yourself to leave, just to collect some fucking shitty ass paycheck at, 2 weeks later that you're not even proud of, that barely gets you by.
Yeah.
And I was so afraid because you would look at business and it's like, business kind of seems unattainable, right? Like being able to go, like when you're just starting out and you're trying to make it, it's like, oh, I'm going to go start a business and make all this money. I don't know. For me, like it felt unattainable. And because I tried all that shit. I tried the sneaker reselling. I tried the drop shipping. I tried all of it. Nothing really worked. But like sales just like made a lot of sense. Sales is kind of like the perfect in between of like, you get that security where you get to connect yourself to business owners that are already bringing in all the leads and they're doing all the fulfillment. But at the same time, like you have the ability to have an uncapped income potential, right? You can make as much money as you fucking want, right? Depending on how good you are, right? Mm-hmm. So it's kind of that perfect middle ground, And I think that's why because even in the beginning, like I wasn't, like sales was never something, I used to think of like car sales and I was like, oh shit, these people are on 100% commission. Like if they have a bad month, then like what happens? Mm-hmm. And I was like, wow, that's crazy how people live that way. I remember having that thought when I was like growing up, like here we are fucking doing it at the highest level.
I mean, like at the end of the day, it's like you eat what you kill. And like if the world wasn't the way it is right now, like we were like in the Neanderthal times, like if you ain't killing animals, if you ain't hunting, you ain't eating. And it's like,
Yeah. And you have this confidence, well, like I have this confidence that even if like whatever the fuck we're doing, something happens, well, alien came and took over, bro. They took our remote closing jobs. Like I still know.
The aliens, they didn't come
they just steal
to
remote
dominate.
closing.
They just took over remote closing.
I'm still confident in my fucking skill that I can go and eat, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll go figure it out. Before I couldn't walk with this confidence. Like, you know what I mean? I'm like, oh, what if they fire me? Airbnb? What if they kick me out? Like here, you know it's safe. You'll always be good.
Because of the person that you became.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. Let me ask you guys this. What's on your mind moving into obviously we're halfway through the year here. Moving into Q3. We're pushing along. What's on your guys' mind over the next couple months, for the rest of the year? What are you guys thinking about?
Yeah, I mean, you introduced me to this concept, right? Pivot versus push. And, for those of you who don't know, like, when you're analyzing your life and, you're analyzing the good, the bad, the ugly, and you gather all that data, you got to decide, well, okay, do I pivot into a different direction or do I push and go harder on what I'm doing? For example, back, when we were just closers 24/7, well, it was a heavy push into, okay, do more calls, get better, increase close rate, increase show up rate so that you can make more money. And then we pivoted into, management. And then now, we're pivoting into sharing everything we've learned with the world through content and, our own offer that we created. And, for the rest of Q3, Q4, the rest of this year, I feel like, we're all on the same page of just heavy push with taking the lessons that we've learned, sharing it with the world, and helping people get connected to amazing opportunities and help them develop the skills to crush those opportunities. Aside from that, it's on my mind for the rest of the year.
Big push
Big push with what we're doing. More masterminds, more events,
more content, more everything. Really, it's just simple. We keep on doing what we're doing. For me, at least, I'll keep on doing what I'm doing, but do more. Like we're at stages where life where okay, we've done sales, and then now we have to learn leadership, and then we have to learn content, we have to learn this. It's like it's always a constant like we're always learning. But I feel like we're at a point right now where okay, we got the sales skills down. There's always room for growth, obviously. We got the leadership down, but again, always room for growth. But now we're at a point where we are just really, let's say, like giving back. Like I don't know, if giving back is a
yeah. Well, I think the way I think about it a lot, is I see someone asked me this recently. They're like, "Yo, Misha, like, what are you doing to get better? Like, what's your like highest ROI?" Because I was talking with the team. I was like, "Yeah, guys, like think about like what is your highest ROI activity and optimize your entire fucking day for that." Right? Cut out all the bullshit that you're doing that's not giving you anything. Figure out what is your highest ROI activity that you can do every single day and max out on it. Right? Someone asked me what it was for me. I think yeah, it's figuring out a way to. It's exactly what you said. Right? It's all of our personal success and all the things that we want. Because we want to win. We're competitive. We see the shit that's out there and we want to crush these guys. But it's like all of the things that we want comes as a byproduct of giving, right? And having a larger impact on people and actually giving, like helping people create real results for themselves, right? That's with, the content. That's with getting better at delivering our message. That's with doing the in-person stuff, even on the inside, behind the scenes with our teams, because yeah, like if we put that first and as long as we continue to keep that first, things will come, right? Mm-hmm. But a lot of people do it backwards, right? Where they constantly look at what's coming to me, what's coming my way, what can I get? And I've had that mindset before too, and then that's just, you just spin your fucking wheels.
That's funny about that is like, when you have that getting mentality, what's in it for me mentality, it's like the results just run away from you. But when you just commit and focus on giving, you get more. Mm-hmm. It's funny how that is an inverse relationship.
Yeah. And like trusting, right? Trusting that it will happen.
Yeah.
The same way that I would trust Rome if I gave him my car for the weekend.
Yeah.
Just knowing for a fact it's all good.
Yeah.
It's going to come back spotless.
Bro, that's huge, man. Like just having that feeling, bro. Mm-hmm. Like you can say whatever, like trust whoever. You can just trust it's going to be okay. You can trust God, it's going to be okay. You can trust yourself. Like for me, basically, bro, like what's been helping me, giving me, because I've major like stress in my life, right? A lot of stress. My biggest problems in my life was like a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety, and they don't know how to really like deal with it properly, especially when you're not doing a 9 to 5. You're a business owner. Everything's on you. Or there's a lot of responsibility, a lot to learn. And what gave me peace was like knowing that, like writing down exactly what I'm gonna do, plan it out, and do the work, do the actions, and then just leave it to God, bro. Just fucking like almost like surrender,
Mm-hmm.
surrender passively, not that.
You want to tell them where that came from? Surrender passively, not actively.
The speech.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think
Oh fuck, the speech. I thought it came from Mexico.
Yeah, where did that come from?
I thought it came from Mexico when we were drinking whatever.
Imagine we called our podcast that.
Was Mexico after our mastermind, right? Surrender passively, not actively. Not like fucking give up on everything, but passively. Like, you know what? Like I did everything that I can. I'm gonna leave the rest to God, and I'm gonna be I'm indifferent about the outcome of this, and just move on to next task instead of like stressing about it twice or 3 times.
I was thinking about Mexico for a second, where you guys like, "Go take this shot." I'm like, bro, I'm not trying to.
Oh, that's another one, bro. Yeah, let the shot consume you. Like surrender to the shot. Yeah. That's one of my my mentors in university. Like, the guy I used to cheat from.
You told me your mentor in partying.
That's a different guy. That's a different guy, bro. Okay. But he was also my. I started drinking in university. Never drank before. And so I would never want to do shots. He was like, bro, like, just let it consume you, bro. I'm like, what? He's like, just surrender to it. Let it
surrender passively.
Like, do it together.
After the seed is planted.
We don't even drink like that, though.
Yeah, we don't.
Yeah, like we kind of stop big time. Every once in a while, when there's an occasion, gotta get it done. You guys, the birthday, the yacht was crazy.
Yeah.
That was a great time. Did you get the drone footage from that? Yeah,
I did.
How did that come out?
Good, very good.
What did you got?
I got it on my laptop. I just uploaded it yesterday, bro.
Nice,
Yeah.
nice. We got to do something with that.
Very cool, bro.
We're also definitely going to need the drone for the mastermind.
Oh, I love that gift, bro. Thank you.
Yeah, bro.
It was cool.
I'm glad you liked it, bro. A little bit of a risk.
And I was watching the drone footage on the fat ass monitor he got me for my birthday, bro. It was clear, very cool.
Nice.
Gotta get you some friends that get you gifts that help you make more money.
Yeah, and just cool gifts in general. Cool gifts are fucking dope.
I'm really grateful for not only the gifts, but like the friendship and the accountability. Somewhere in this podcast we were talking about, I believe, Misha, you were talking about surrounding yourself with myself, with Dylan, and like having people like us that you could lean on and turn to for motivation, strength, whatever the case may be. And like something that I feel like you were saying when you spoke about like, okay, what would you say to that guy who has a wife who's like nagging or whatever? It's like you also got to find your people. Like you can't do it alone. And like this goes back to that quote where it's like, what is it? If you want to go far, go alone. But if you want to go something,
if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go with the team. Yes. Let me ask you this, because we hear that a lot, right? What about the person out there who's all the people around him, they're fucking broke. They have a shitty mindset. They live for the weekend. They don't have any vision, but there's that one guy, part of the group, who's got a big vision for himself. What advice would you give him to, surround himself with the right people and to go on that path?
Simple. Get in the room. And you guys just have living proof of like what Rome just shared, right? Like he made that decision. Like, I don't want to be average. I don't want this lifestyle. I'm destined for greatness. I'm destined for more. What did that do? It caused him to take a massive step out of the comfort zone, literally jump right into his fears, invest into himself. That is such a butterfly effect moment. Like if you didn't take that step, you wouldn't be here in this room in this podcast right now. And It's like the fact that he took that step, it's like to find those people, I think it's just taking continuous steps out of your comfort zone, because in the uncomfort zone is where you're going to find your tribe.
Yeah.
Where you're going to find those people. And it's like,
you got to give up something too. Like that's what I had to do. I had to give up something. Like just know, like whoever's watching and you're thinking about making this change, like you have to give up something in your life right now. It's not like you can just, okay, yeah, I'll start doing this. No, you have to give up something. You have to give up your weekends. You have to give up something for you to add that into your life. And you got to figure out what that is. Like what it is exactly that's holding you back from chasing your dreams, and be okay to kind of let that go. Whatever it is that is holding you back. whether it's friends that you need to stay away from, whether it's like the weekends that you need to sacrifice, but there has to be some sacrifice.
So it's a give and a take, right? For sure. And like that also just like tells your subconscious mind that like you're on a different path, right? Like you are making the change.
Yeah.
And you might tell yourself you're making the change and you might make a move, but it's like when you actually give something up and like it hurts a little bit, then that's when shit starts to actually change, right?
Most definitely.
All right, guys, let's wrap it up right there.
I think it's a good idea. I think this was lovely, boys.
Yeah.
Great chat.
So talked about a lot. What do we talk about today? Let's recap some actionable,
Charge it to the game. Talk about failures, how it's important for you to fail, and that's how you grow. You need to fail. You need to be okay with sucking. Like you will suck, and you need to be okay with sucking. Not to go into too details, but like the reason why, like even when we train our new sales guys, they don't want us to listen to their calls because they're afraid we'll judge them. But we need to judge you, judge you. We need to give you constructive criticism so you get better, faster, and quicker. So yeah, charge it to the game.
Be willing to suck.
Be willing to suck.
Adopt that mentality. Charge it to the game mentality.
Challenge yourself, people. And if there's any takeaways that you got that maybe we didn't just mention, drop it down below. Let us know what you enjoy talking about. I think we should be doing this every single week.
100%.
We got a beautiful little setup here every week. We should be talking about what we're doing, where we're going, what we're focusing on. Take people along on the journey with us. And I think it'll be cool to look back on these one day. When we're, doing our thing.
Most definitely.
Right.
Most definitely. Yeah. Guys, remember, any bullshit happens this week, just
charge it to the game.
Charge it to the fucking game. It's going to give you a lot of comfort.
Charge it to the game and it'll pay you back. All right.
All right,
guys. Peace.
See you in the next one.